Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about our May wrap-up, and I actually do have a couple things in here that I can't talk about yet. I think it's really just one. And then there's some things that you guys may never heard about because they were either on members only or I just kind of read it separately. So let's get into the video. So the one book that I read this month that I can't talk about yet because it hasn't been in a video, and that video will be coming out in like 2 to 3 weeks, is Find Me Where It Ends, which is the brand new Cassandra Claw. I read this as a NetGalley. I was so excited to get an early edition copy of this. Cassandra Claw is one of my favorite authors. I've given 2 of their books 5 stars and 1 4.5, plus I think 2 3s sprinkled in there. I just love their writing style. I love how they tell stories, so I was very excited to get an early copy of this. And my review of this book will be in Reading My Most Anticipated Books of 2026. And also in that video will be Man of My Dreams, Beneath, Broken Dove, and Fury Bound. So all of those together will be in that video, so that will be on the channel later in June. Moving into the books that we can talk about, I actually have 2 DNFs that we're gonna talk about today. We're not gonna talk about them too much because the video for it literally just came out, so if you want more of a review on these, definitely go check out the Allurial Purge, because they are, all 3 of them are Allurial books. I actually don't know where my copy of Anathema is, but oh no, I have 3 DNFs, and they're all from Allurial Purge. Also, I only count DNFs that are over 50 pages, because if I read under 50 pages, generally it just doesn't feel like worth talking about, and I just kind of leave it alone at that point. So there was a lot in Allurial Purge that I DNF'd that I am not including in this, just because I didn't make it to 50 pages. But I did make it to 50 pages in these 3, so it is Anathema's number 1. We're not going to talk about it anymore, but I think I made it to 260 pages. And then we also DNF'd The Wicked Sea, which I'm super upset about, mostly just because it's really, really pretty. This just 1000% was not for me. I think I made it just past 50 pages for this one. Then we also tried really, really hard with Arcana Academy. I have one more Elise Kova that I'm going to try, but after that one, we're done with this author. It's so hit or miss with this author. I just don't even know if I want to try her anymore. But one more, and then we're done. But those are the DNFs. Again, just not my style of writing. Really didn't like the main character. Don't like how things were introduced. So I read an okay amount this month. I definitely took it a little bit easier this month with how much I was reading, just because that Allurial Purge really took up a lot of my time. But it looks like I read 9 full-length books. Then I read 4 novellas, including Find Me Where It Ends, and then 1 graphic novel, a pretty long graphic novel actually. So we're going to talk about all of these, starting with our lowest book of the month. We had no 1 stars, and I honestly think it is because I DNF'd so much. I do think if I pushed through some of the books that I DNF'd, we would have had a 1 star, but instead our lowest book this month is a 2 star. Still didn't have the best time with it, but it was not a 1 star, so I'm counting that as a win. And that 2 star actually was my ARC Instagram video episode, whatever. At this point, I don't even know what episode number I'm on, but it was The Cove. This is a horror young adult book, and it's a culty book. It's all about this girl who is sent away to this camp due to the parents just not wanting to deal with her, and also delinquent, I put it in quotation marks, delinquent behavior. And she ends up getting wrapped up in this really strange teenage wellness retreat thing. It's basically just a bunch of teenagers who act bad and are sent away to a farm. And so then you get wrapped up in a cult. And that's what the book is. It sounds really, really good, but it just didn't execute anything really well. So I was very disappointed in this one. Everything else from now on is a 3 or a higher. So I mean, we read a lot of good stuff. I am happy with what we read. There was a couple things I wished I had gotten to this month and I didn't end up getting to. However, we did have 4 5 stars, including one that was almost a 5 star. So I do think it actually was a really good reading month, even though I'm now in a reading slump because of the Allurial Purge. Our very first 3 star, and the one that I enjoyed the least, is Bone Shard Daughter. This was very close to being a 2.5. I don't know if I could tell you. Oh no, I can. Okay, I gotta think about this one. This one is just one of those that is trying to seep from my memory, but it is following a couple of different main characters, following very distinct plot lines. And I will say there is one plot line that I liked above all the other ones, and I would have honestly preferred the book if it was just following that plot line. I thought it was the most dynamic, it was the most interesting. I do think it was pretty obvious what was happening, but at the same time, it was still incredibly interesting. While on the other hand, the other 2 plot lines I really didn't care about. So I would say it's following basically 3, because there is other perspectives other than the main 3, but there is 3 main storylines that are happening, and one is a girl who is trying to figure out the magic, and she's trying to learn magic herself for this world. And she is actually in, I believe, like the king's palace or the emperor's palace. And the other point of view is this guy who ends up getting wrapped up in, he's a traveler, he ends up getting wrapped up in smuggling children away from bad situations. And he has this really interesting animal companion. And then the third point of view is more in the lines of following what the rebellion is kind of doing, but not from the point of view of someone who actually wants to be a part of the rebellion, which is somewhat interesting. But that arguably is my least favorite point of view out of the whole book. I just didn't find a lot interesting about it. And then I wasn't the biggest fan of the Traveler either. I thought he was kind of interesting, and I actually liked his point of view first, and then I got more and more bored as the story went on with his story, and I pretty much only really liked the main girl's point of view and what she was doing with the magic and what she was doing like within the Emperor's palace. Ended on a really interesting and a really cool note. I think it actually had a really good cliffhanger, or not exactly a cliffhanger, but like where we're heading in the next story. Oh no, there was a fourth point of view. The other fourth unknown storyline is a very short, it's because they're very short chapters, but it's following someone who is somewhere and we don't know who the person is. So I don't want to say too much about it because that could be a massive spoiler, but it's an unknown person and you don't really know anything else about them other than very cryptic things that you're told through their point of view. So there actually is 4 major plot lines. Jeez. Something about this actually reminds me a lot of Pride of the Orange Tree. I think it's just how the story is told. I double checked it for a second that it also wasn't by Samantha Shannon, because I would believe it. If someone slapped Samantha Shannon's name on this, I kind of actually would believe it, because to me, again, the writing style is somewhat similar and the way that the story was told was very similar. And I gave Pride of the Orange Tree also a 3, so that kind of makes sense. But yeah, I am going to continue in this series. I don't have like the highest hopes for the rest of the series, to be honest. So I'm kind of just gonna go with the flow for this one, and I will be reading the rest of the series for members only. However, you will know my review because I will talk about it in wrap-ups. Next up we had, this is where it gets complicated because I sometimes change my ratings in these wrap-ups. My ratings are fluid. If it's a 5-star, it generally stays a 5-star. But the more I sit with a book, definitely the more my scale adjusts. And so When the Moon Hatched, I think I gave it a 3.5, but I'm gonna give it a 3. I'm already forgetting a lot about this story, especially the bonkers ending. I'm like, the more I think about this one, the less excited I am about it, but it is following 2 main characters, and one of our main characters, who is, I would say the main character, is a girl who is working as an assassin, and that's pretty much all I can tell you. So like, I loved how the story opened up, but the middle section of this book just like really lost me. There's also a story within a story of this one, so you're learning backstory of this world and like things that were happening in the background. And again, this is one that's very obvious what's going on, but you learn like the big secret like less than halfway through, so I don't think it ever was supposed to be like a real big secret. I think the author knew that we knew, which I appreciate. I would have hated if that had been the big twist at the end and everyone was like, oh my god, oh that's crazy, because I would have been like, no, it's pretty obvious what you're doing. So I was glad that they didn't try to do that. This has 2 tropes in it that I do not like, and I think they were done well. Actually, they're done as well as they can be, personally, in my opinion, because I just really don't like either one of those. So the fact that I am still willing to read the next book, and my Waterstones edition did come for the next book, I feel like is kind of a miracle, especially with how this ended. Another one that I think I gave a 3.5, but I'm downgrading it to a 3. Again, I don't remember if I gave it a 3 or 3.5. Half City. I was wildly disappointed with this one. I think if my expectations weren't as high for this one, I would have liked it a lot more, but every single person and their brother said this is like the best fantasy book this year. And so when I read it, I was just expecting just more from this. I really was expecting better writing. I was expecting just like amazing stuff from this book, to be honest, and it was kind of like a story I've already read like a lot. And I feel like this book could have taken a direction that would have been really interesting, and it chose to go in the more boring direction. But it's basically following our main character, who is a vampire hunter, but there's like different calibers of vampire hunting, and the whole point of this is that she is more powerful than normal vampire hunters, but she gets, or I guess demon hunters, is it demon hunting? I think it's vampires. Whatever, she hunts things, because it's not just vampires, there's other creatures. She's basically Buffy if Buffy hunted like more stuff. I haven't watched as much Buffy, so I don't know if she does hunt other things, but she's supposed to be basically Buffy and Buffy going to school, this magical school. But the point is that she's going to this magical school, making friends, and trying to also figure out this, like, secret thing that's going on in the background. So I just, like, don't like how the plot was done. I hated the romance. I really did not connect with this romance. I feel like this is the definition of a romance I should enjoy, but ended up very much not enjoying. However, I am continuing in this one because there was a glimpse towards the end that I noticed that, I think there could be something interesting that happens in the later books. So I am curious where this one's going. I'm not exactly sure yet. This is also another one that I'm gonna struggle to remember just because I feel like it meandered so much in the middle of the book that I don't know if I could tell you what happened other than what happened at the beginning and what happened at the end, and then there's just a bunch of meandering in the middle of it. So again, that earns a 3. Next, we have my reread of All Systems Red. I am down, I think I originally gave it a 4 or 3.75. I am gonna put it down to a 3 just because I did not connect with the story a lot this second time around, and I don't know if it's because I loved the TV show as much as I did. I actually thought that everything when I originally read it, I was like, oh yeah, this is really good. I just wish it was kind of funnier. I wish it had a little extra stuff. I wish we knew the side characters a little bit more. Everything that I had wished for when I read the book originally is what the show did, and so I think seeing what the book could have been because of watching the show, I do think that actually did remove a little bit of my enjoyment from All Systems Red. But basically this is following our main character, who is this robot thing, a sec unit, it's a security unit who calls itself Murderbot, and every book is like a new almost adventure, but it's also trying to learn about itself and learn about the corporation that it was enslaved to work for, and you're just in general learning about humanity, etc. And so I actually read 3 of these. Both of them, the other 2 are 4 stars, so maybe I'll talk about them now, actually. I think I'm talking about them now because I think next is my higher stuff and my 4 stars. So All Systems Red, 3, 3.5, kind of fluid on that one. Then we had, I can't remember, I think it was Artificial Condition, and then Rogue Protocol, and both of them are 4s. I liked both of them. They're both following Murderbot still in other situations. Again, like he's trying to learn some stuff or help some of the friends from All Systems Red, which I liked. I liked the callback back from All Systems Red. But I'm currently in the process of actually reading Exit Strategy, which is number 4. So I'm hoping, I would love this whole series to just be 4 stars for every single book. So I'm hoping to actually read the whole series by the end of June. And those vlogs are going to be members only for the Scholomance level. But again, you'll know my rating because I'll talk about them in wrap-ups. Next up, we have Fence, book 1. This is the graphic novel that I read this month. It is an arc. I've been trying to get to some of my arcs. This was cute. I forgot that I had the first graphic novel, so I have volume 1. So Fence book 1 that's coming out is collecting volumes 1 through 12, which is really cool. So I never read it, even though I had it, and I thought it was like something different, but no, it's just like a collection of stuff that's already out. I really liked it. I think it's really cute. I think if you are a fan of Heartstopper, you would actually very much enjoy that. The character storylines are similar, the interactions are very similar, but it's following our main character who is a fencer, or he wants to be a fencer, and so he has joined this academy, and it's all about the camaraderie but also the competitiveness between everybody who's trying to be on the fencing team, because there's only so many slots and there's a lot of people who want to be on it. And it's also going to be following like the romantic turmoils between the kids on the team, so it's cute. I definitely would recommend this if you're a Heartstopper fan. And now we're on to our 4.5 of the month. And I have 1, this was almost the 5-star, and then everything else is a 5-star. I didn't read like a ton of stuff this month comparative to what I normally read. Again, it was definitely quality versus quantity, except for that Allurio Purge. So I am shocked about this. And when I say this is a 4-star, almost 5-star, it's basically a 5-star, but there was a little bit towards the middle that I did kind of lose interest in the book for a little bit until the ending happened. But I read The Deal by Al Kennedy. Do I think this is a good book? No. No, I would struggle to recommend this to somebody because I just don't know anybody who would enjoy this. But at the same time, I had such a good time reading this. I read it pretty much in one sitting. I read it physically. I read it physically. I read this book physically. Do you know how long it's been since I've just sat down and just read a book physically? It's like rough on my back sometimes. Like I was reading, I'm on the second book. I'm reading the second book physically too. Probably will finish it today. Gonna go do that literally after I finish this video. Reading physically can be absolute hell on my back because I have to lay it down and put it above my head. So it's never good and I always hit myself in the face. So it's just been a really long time since I actually physically read a book and I had the best time with this. I read this in about 24 hours. I obviously read it because I watched Off Campus. I watched Off Campus with one of my friends, Alyssa, and it was a fun time. I was a little bit annoyed with the main character and she was still annoying in here. But I was interested to see the difference between the two. And there's a lot of differences. I will say the characters act very different. This is definitely a product more, I feel like, of its time, because I think this, I looked it up, it's like 2015 this came out. You can just tell the way the characters act and they talk. It's much more kind of from when I went to college than I feel like what college kids actually talk like now. But it's also was a little bit over the top with like the sexual content and the way that people talk to each other. It's just a lot. They definitely 100% tone that down to make it palatable to the current generation. I think if the TV show talked like they did in here, they might be in trouble. I think they would be in trouble. But at the same time, this was so addicting. It was so much fun. I can't believe I had as much fun with this as I did. I will say, I do think some of the story made way more sense how it stayed in the book. So they changed stuff in the show. No spoilers or anything like that, just like basic things. Is in this, she's a music major, similar to the show. She's a music major. And the whole point is she has a crush on somebody, but he doesn't notice her. And so she strikes a deal with a hockey player and they fake date so that she can get his attention and she tutors the hockey player in payment, basically. The thing is, in the book, the guy she has a crush on is a football player, and that's why it makes sense why they're going to the same parties. He knows who the hockey player is. He sees the hockey player around. They're in the same spaces. Why it doesn't make as much sense in the show is she has a crush on another like musician, and they just like aren't inhabiting the same spaces naturally. Like it feels forced when he shows up to these like frat parties, which are not his vibe in the show. It's just very strange. It just feels like they're forcing everybody together, while in this, anytime she goes to a party with a hockey player, the football players are also there because it's jock parties. That makes a lot more sense compared to the forced proximity kind of stuff that was created in the show. And so I appreciated this a lot more for that. And I had a lot of fun with this. Like if you want a very cheesy but quick paced and kind of fun romance, just know it's a lot. Like it's a lot. Put yourself in a 2015 headspace, okay? And you should be fine. So The Deal, 4.5, and I'm reading The Mistake right now and I'm loving it. That one might be 5 stars actually. I'm enjoying it even more than this one. Moving on to our 5-star books. First up, we have Miss Mabel Goes Back to the Chopping Block. This might be my favorite Jessie Q. Sutanto yet. My mom and I read all of her, at least her current books that are along this like cozy contemporary feel. So we thought this was going to be a murder mystery, but this is not. Like, I think that is going to confuse some people because it looks like her other ones. So she had the Dial A. See, I have literally all of them over there. We have the Dial A for Auntie series, which is a murder mystery with a romance in it. So it's like rom-com mystery. The Vera Wang books, 2 of those are murder mystery stories. And then she released this, and it seems, and this is about the time she was releasing those. So instead of releasing a Vera Wang, which is what everybody thought she was going to do, she actually released this. So my mom and I both went into it thinking it was going to be either contemporary rom-com mystery or it was going to be a Vera Wang-esque type of thing where there was a mystery in it. No, this is really like a contemporary. It's hilarious. Like, it's so funny. I love this story, but it is hard to explain what genre this is. Like, I think I would just say literary fiction, I guess, and it's very funny. So anyway, it's following our main character, Miss Mabel. I always want to say Mabel because it's spelled incorrectly, and that's a plot point in the story. It's following Mabel, and she is going through a late in life divorce. Her husband has left her for a younger woman, and she is trying to figure out a way to win her husband back. And so she decides to go to culinary school, and I'm just gonna leave it at that because the rest of the story is so good. It's so fun. It's very women empowerment, which I wasn't expecting as much. Like, I just wasn't expecting that. It was so good. The ending really was so fantastic how this book came together. A lot of personal growth in this story. I loved seeing the change in Mabel, and it definitely had like a found family aspect to this where she found a lot of new friends. I loved this. I thought this was so fun. It was so cute. My mom also liked it. I think she gave it a 4-star. I gave it a 5-star. Obviously going to continue reading these books from Jessie Cusidanto. I love them. So our top 3 contenders are very close together. These honestly, you could shuffle these around. It's hard to decide which one comes first. So keep that in mind when I show you these 3. They're basically equal. They're just very different types of books. So first up, we have The Poet Empress. This was as good as you guys said it was. So this one was featured in my Reading All My Book Box books. This was fantastic. This was so good. It wrecked me at the end, and I wasn't expecting it to wreck me as much as it did at the end, but man, this was crazy. This reminded me a lot of The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, because if you've read that book, you know it's a villain origin story. This is very similarly a villain origin story, but instead of being in the perspective of the villain, you're in the perspective of someone who is learning how he became the villain through memories and talking to him and past life things and just all sorts of things. It's actually very unique how the story is told. And so it's tragic. It's so upsetting. It asks the question of who and under what circumstances, how does somebody become a villain when it doesn't seem like they were born to be that kind of person? It's definitely like a nature versus nurture kind of discussion as well. And it's horrifically sad. Like, it's so sad. If you watched that video, you saw me cry in it because it was devastating, because it's a moment of like, what if? Like, you could see where this person, like all the moments that this person, their life could have gone a different direction and they would have been a completely different person. And instead, everything culminated to create what this person became. And it's so sad. Like, it's so depressing, but it's so good. The storytelling in this is magnificent. I absolutely love this book. I would recommend it. Just be prepared for trauma. And there also are like, there are animal deaths. They're not animals like pets or anything like that, but there are definitely animal deaths because it's part of the sadness of the story. Like, there's a reason why, at least. I don't like when there's just like random animal death and stuff. It was hard to get through those sections, but it made sense, especially that ending. Like, I'm thinking about it. The ending combined with those things, it made a lot of sense. But I just want to give that trigger warning because I know a lot of people who watch my channel also have the animal trigger. Next up is Blood Over Brighthaven. We read this for our book club. Again, I have a whole video for this if you want spoilers, etc. Sobbed. The thumbnail is me sobbing on the floor because I couldn't get up for like an hour after reading this book. Again, the storytelling in this, magnificent. It was amazing. This is following our main character who is I read this at the beginning of the month. Like, it's been a whole month, and I probably could actually tell you the entire plot line of this one. And that's how you know it's a 5-star. I was trying to see what a mage. Okay, they're called mages. So Siona, our main character, is a mage and is trying to vie to become like a high mage, and they are the most prestigious people. They take care of the city, and there's just a lot of magic in this world, and it's very, very unique magic. So you're following her side of things where she is being bullied for being the only female mage ever. Oh yeah, Taz is up here. We're actually upstairs. Yes, he does have a diaper on because for some reason he really likes peeing up here. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. He's really mad about it right now. Second we go downstairs, it comes off, but it's like he likes marking up here and I don't know what it is, but he'd be really upset if he wasn't up here with me. So anyway, so yeah, we are in this kind of idyllic walled in city. And the point is that these mages take care of the city, but they don't really take care of anything else. So beyond these walls are like the wilds, and there's a bunch of people in this city that have risked traversing the wild, which turns out there's like this crazy thing that's killing people out there, like some sort of magic or some sort of plight or some sort of something. No one knows what it really is, but it is killing people. And so the people who are able to make it through and make it to the walls, they become these like second-class citizens, and they do all the jobs that nobody else wants, and they are treated like shit. So the point is that we're following her and her learning about this, learning about the difference between the two classes of people, and obviously coming to her own conclusions about what is actually going on. And you're trying to figure out all the secrets that are being kept, and they're such good secrets. Like, they're so good. The reveals are amazing. The characters are amazing, because we're also following a main character of someone who is from beyond the wall. So we also get that perspective. It's phenomenal. This is a heartbreaking book. I cried more during this than The Poet Empress. Actually, all three of these books made me sob. It was rude. This one, no. The next one is probably the hardest. Poet Empress and the next one were the hardest. This was close though. This was a close third. But this was a beautiful book. I definitely would recommend it, and a fantastic standalone. And our final 5-star of the month, and I would say just inches out the other two as my favorite of the month, and that is The Mystical Cat Shelter. This had so much more depth to it than I was ever imagining. I will say there's one plot line that I did not love for this story. However, everything else was perfect. This is as close to a perfect book in my books as you can get. The characters, the plot line, the emotional impact of things, the way that this had one of the best love stories, unexpected love stories I've ever read. Crazy. I was sobbing. I was fighting for my life at the end of this book, like absolutely fighting for my life. But and the magic was so cool. Everything was just so whimsical, but also heartbreaking and all-encompassing in this book. So if you have been thinking about reading Mystical Cat Shelter, I 1000% would read it. And I actually do think this is better than Emily Wilde's, which is crazy because I love Emily Wilde's, but like, this is so good. This is so good. It's following our main character who is, I almost said Emily because Emily Wilde. It's following our main character who runs a cat shelter. She ends up getting kicked out of the place that she's in because the whole point of this world that she's in is there are wizards or magicians or whatever, and they destroy stuff. And so people just don't really like magicians. Her shop gets destroyed, so she has to find a new shop, but nobody wants to host cats. So she ends up finding this place that's a little bit sketchy, and they're like, yeah, and it's like super cheap and it's massive. And so she ends up moving in, and obviously it comes with an uninvited guest. And it's chaos from that point on. So I love this. I would love to read it again. I would not hate the idea of there being a sequel. I would actually love a sequel to this. I know there's nothing scheduled to have a sequel. I would love a sequel to this book because I think you could do some really fun stuff with it. So that is everything that I read in May. I do think it was a pretty good reading month. I'm really hoping for something similar in June. Like I'm gonna see if I can again do quality versus quantity in June and just moving forward in general. But yeah, if you made it this far into the video, definitely leave a cat emoji because this was the favorite book of the month. Definitely let me know down below if you read any of these, if you enjoyed them, didn't enjoy them, what you read in May. If you're interested, I also have a membership where I do extra content every single month, and soon we're going to be starting sprints, which should be very exciting. I just have to set it up. I haven't set it up yet. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe to miss any future content. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.